Right. Greetings to my OBs, Busoga College Mwiri, class of 1988 to 91, senior 4B, but it is senior 1, B, 2, B, 3, B, and 4B. For the best. The B stream was okay. Where do we start from? Because I want to bring you this story that many don't know about, but I think it's relevant to date. It's many years ago, you know. It's many years ago, and it also happens how I ended up in Busoga College Mwiri. Very much. Something that I found very much not controversial. I gotta say, what's the controversy? KEGUS here. Controversy did dawa. Back in the day, there was this kind of conundrum, mujita conundrum, or kusomera echida, crossing over the bridge, going to Jinja. So, because traditional schools in Uganda centered mainly around the central region, of course later on things changed when some of the government schools come about, you know, like Ambachi College, Tororo College, Tororo Girls, Buranyanje Girls, Chigezi College, Iganga, Wairaka. So Busoga College was more or less an eye in the storm, call it that, you know what I mean? There was a very big privilege of going to Busoga College Mwiri and King's College Buddo. I can say those two schools really were rivals, like twin brothers or twin sisters or twins of, you know, we looked up to each other up in the league, you know, the school league, you know. So Busoga College Mwiri was known for so many things: cricket, football, debating, lots of other things. And I'm bringing you the story because we are now constructing it. We have enough time to run through this. So how did I end up in Busoga College? All the way from Kampala. And I want to bring you the drama of why the headmaster at the time, Mr. G.W. Kayondo, who had been previously a deputy headmaster at King's College Buddo, but prior to that, he had been a teacher at Kampala High, and he had studied at Mengo SS with my father. So, Yondi, Katimbabuli aba obis Yondi was more or less a family member. He was because he went to school with my dad. That's now I'm telling you, that's a fact. And but he didn't play any part in my coming to Mwiri, because back then things went like the way you would say that I know so and so, let me bring my son there, or Banti headmaster skills. No. It was always a merit system. You have a place in a school by your academic performance. And back then, my generation, so like you're talking of the 80s now, the early 80s, pretty much things had begun changing, and education was becoming more competitive. And you know, because remember Nabagamba, I had been admitted to Kitante Primary School. Well, I'm in Kitante Primary School, Mujimani. Right now, I don't know how it is. I was in Kitante Primary School for 1 term, and then I was moved to Buganda Road. Back in my days, the name that stood mainly out was Norman Godino. But I think the name had been changed, but it hadn't picked up so much. The name had been changed to Buganda Road Primary School because of the road anyway. So 1981, I'm in Buganda Road, 3rd term, 2nd term, continuous primary 2, primary 3, primary 4. So by 85, things really were taking another twist, and you could see, I personally felt it, the pressure was building so much, especially after 85 when there was a change of government. The government had DACO. Remember, we were losing almost half of the class students. That was July. Yes, coach. You're right. Yeah, see about. You're going to know them. No, come back. All right then. So after the overthrow of the Obote government, then we had the Tito Okello government. And I felt it because I had many friends of mine who were my classmates. So P5B, so we go to senior 6. That's when they mixed us up. And then streams, there's Chuka, 6A, 6D, 6, whatever. There was a bit of Joseph Almeida, the headmaster, was trying to get things in order. And then by P7, still the same thing. And then, of course, 6D was the best in the stream always. And then P7P, I was in P7P, Mr. Kisuubi. I've had the color exams. There's a P7 exams, candidate class, primary living exams. It was November, the first week of November. And what I remember was that the date was the 4th and the 5th. But prior to that, of course, Mwakolanga mocks, we did mock exams, and that is in the second term of your candidate class, P7. And then Nebamanya performance your man, you pretty much your position in your academic strength, you know. But of course, me, I was always getting first grade. So 4 points, mock. And at the Muduzamu form, there's a job form where you was a computer form, like a matrix, a dot matrix. More matrix. My film about matrix, how it begins, those slots that go up in a line. That's kind of like a punch card form. There was a specific type of pencil you had to use, a very dark pencil, so that the form could be read on the computer by UNEB. That's when the forms were all here. After being filled in with your school choices, 3 choices: first choice, second choice, third choice. So in ranking is how the choices would be allocated to the schools. So there was always this selection done by the Batugambanga computer, UNEB. That they had a computer, so it was anonymous. No one involved in things like that. And so my first choice was King's College Buddo. No, it was SMAC, St. Mary's College, Kisuubi. Second choice, King's College Buddo. Third choice, Busoga College Mwiri. So now the story begins. How I end up in Busoga College Mwiri. Despite having attained 4 aggregate points, if to date because back then, you know, they would read out the best student in the country. I would probably be, if there was another list at that time of the top 100 students in Uganda, none but them listed. None but them listed. And, but that wasn't the case. I think I was among the top students in Buganda Road that year, 1987, and then that was it. So I fill in the forms. We do the exams on the 4th and the 5th of November, 1987. So the vacation begins. So after the exams, Monday, Tuesday, then on Saturday, there was a leavers party. The last time we were seeing each other, pretty much everybody going their way after that. Vacation begins. They called it vacation, vac. For whatever reason, I don't know, but it was a long holiday. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, waiting for the exams, and then you begin the term of the first year in secondary. Usually mwatandika mu second term. Mujjukira ebintu ebyo. Tumwatuulanga ne mulinda ekiyitiridde. So, nga tubeera ne rivers party eyo, twambadde for the first time we were seeing each other in casual clothes, tuzze ku ssomero, tuzinye, bitya Mr. Masiko, baanyawo Mr. Lumeida, mbajjukiraawo nga bayogera bakola speeches, ba Mr. Ngarambe, Mr. Bwenje, Mr. Kasisiri, baani bonna Miss Nakamya. So it was a really a day, because I think our year we had very, very strong students. Twali b'amaanyi nnyo academically, and that was it. So nze kyenzijjukira ku Rivers party eyo nanyiga omunyigo, not munyigo as such, singagamba nti I had my best friends, and I danced with one of my best friends. She was a girl, and she went to Gayaza, but unfortunately she died in senior 2. So I'm babulira linnya for disclaimer. But those who were in Gayaza in 1989, and one of the students passed away, Mumanyi, you would know. She died during the holidays. So how do I end up in Busoga College Mwiri? So after the long vacation, the results come back in February, I remember. February time. The minister announces on the news, the results come back. Back in the day, you went for the results not at school. You went to UNEB, Crested Towers, 9th floor, is it? Nayenga da wansi wa Crested Towers, walingawo notice board nene, where they would pin up in a glass. Mubijjukira bino ebintu bannange sagala kwogera bintu nga nze mbitegeera nzekka. So the exams were pinned in there. So you would know, you went there, you saw your school, your index number, and then your grades. So they were anonymous students because they were not putting names. So unless you knew your index number, you would know which were your results. Then after that, you collected an envelope from school, which would have your choice school selection that had, among the 3 schools you put, they would have the official letter stating which school you are going to go to. So there was no shortcut about that. There was no shortcut. You could not find your way in a school unless it was to do with the official process, you know what I mean? So it was tough. It was very tough back then, you know. But of course, those who are the performing. But once you got to the school, kati nze bwe ntuuka Mwiri, kati mutegeera bino ebintu era bibanyonnyola nga byali bigenda mu maaso. So you had other streams. So you had the intake, the academic intake. Then you had the school intake. Then you had application intake. Then you had mwagitanga back door. Back door. So but that was school, you know what I mean? So kakati byebyo twasanga Mwiri. Now tugende maaso. Kakati results bwezikomawo bampadde Mwiri. And it didn't make sense. Come on. It didn't make sense to everybody. Bakuba batya third choice. How? And because now it goes back to the story, my mother, the greatest mom story. She yagwamu nyamaanyi, you know, she wasn't impressed, you know, nzinange na uliranga. It wasn't deserving of me to go to Busoga College Mwiri. There was this bias. There was this bias of going the other side. You know, you're going somewhere. So you had to go to either Buddo, Namilyango. You had to go to SMAC. Of course, was my first choice. So it kind of felt like a punch in the face, you know what I mean? People, as a parent, you want your son, firstborn, okusoma kwange kwali very much a yardstick mu family nga buli kimu kirina kubeera the best. Kakati olwo vacation ngimalidde Bugolobi flats. Block 8, flat 2A. Ewa Auntie Namirembe, Aunt Annette. Nanyumirwa nnyo Bugolobi nenfunayo emikwano. There were some guys I used to play with. Wabaragawa. Tugenda mu bagitanga Middle East. Kabuduka bwalingao. Back then Bugolobi was much more like a civil servant estate. You know, people who wake up in the morning and go to the offices in the government, buses, zibanona, things like that. Everybody's like Masuti, Matai, and because my auntie, the husband, was working in a Ministry of Lands, Mr. Cavalli. So when the results come back, that was February, March. So tumazo zifuna. And then we are now in the now. We are waiting for the letter to come from the school, because once the UNEB letter you got from your primary school was received, bw'wagendanga ku UNEB n'olaba results zo n'ofuna kye bayitanga pass slip, pass slip kali kapapula akavanga mu Ministry of Education ka white ekaliko results zo. Kujja okutwala ku ssomero ya primary gy'ojja okusanga ebbaluwa eva mu UNEB ng'eriko n'essomero lye bakulondedde job form eri. So we get that letter with all the details of Busoga College Mwiri there, and the school fees and everything. So kakati fe abaali bayise on the government merit, school fees ezaffe zaali ndala. Let me tell you this. Me, what I remember, my school fees minus tuition. Let's get this right. School fees and tuition. So the school fees was about 4,000 shillings, 4,400. Then 10,000 something was for the board accommodation. So can you imagine the amount of money we were paying? You okay, boss? Yeah. Good. So it was very much subsidized. The government, you were rewarded for having performed or for having excelled. 4 points. Any student who went on government merit, amasomero gabayitanga traditional schools. This applied to the mainstream, the government schools and the traditional schools. Kyentegeeza nti traditional schools zino ezaali based on religion. Abasiraamu, abakatoliki, abaprotestanti, aba-orthodox, bonna balina amasomero. So those were the elitist schools. And in most cases, because they took the cream, they took the cream. Most of them ended up in the government. Once they did well at O-level, A-level, even campus, they were sponsored. They were government sponsorship. So you found that every parent desired. So, but of course you had to be that performing students. Abati ebbaluwa ngejja ya admission tujja ku Buganda Road kanyanguyanguyemu kati tulina 5 minutes. Kakati Kayondo yali amanya abazadde b'e Kampala be basinze okuleeta abaana because they would have this information from Ministry of Education. Kati most of these parents bonna waliwo omulembe gwe bayitanga ab'amabenzi. Most rich people in Kampala were driving Benzes. So, and I think he did not want to bring that fracas at school on the admission day. Abazadde baalimu amasappe mangi kyengezako bagamba kakati ffe abaali ku government sponsorship, the letter we received, enrollment letter, on the date to arrive on the 4th, being received at Main Street, Jinja. Awo ufe ba students ne bateka ku loole. Batussa ku ttata ne batuvuga ne batuleeta. Carriers master Mr. Ofamba we batuteekera ffe twasooka mu line on that day of admission. Mujjukira ebintu bino. Naye I was so surprised. Already before us. What's the logic here? So, this is very, very interesting because we're going to go deep into it. We're going to explain how this played against one thing and another. There was this status thing. There was this privileged thing. There was this entitlement thing. And Kayondo, being who he was, knew very well most of these parents. And my mom drove me in the Mercedes-Benz, 1998, to Busoga College Mwiri. Remember that? And the car was parked in Jinja. And then I reported one would desk out. There was, I think, a shop, whatever. So you were received in Jinja at about 2 o'clock. We are all put in the school Tata truck, and the parents who wished to come and see the school, we are put in transport. That is Kayondo. GW Kayondo. Eyampa suspension mu senior 4 years later. Na banemigo. And when I reported back, I'm going to go more into this story because there's a lot of things that shaped my 4 years in Busoga College Mwiri. And that is how I ended up in Busoga College Mwiri. By default of one thing, that because I did not have a strong religious background, my mom, she's Muslim, my dad was a non-practicing Christian. So we did not have any affiliation. And that also was a very important factor. When your application was received, you had to put there a letter stating where you went to pray. So had they put there anything to do with Muslim, because my mom is Muslim, straight up. But I think that part wasn't, engaged during the application or filling in of the form. Because it wasn't relevant anyway. I would go into the school I wanted. But it's into Victor. There was no way you would have been given a place in St. Mary's College, SMAC. So are we together with this story? Ngenda kujiba wa bulungi nnyo mutegeere kyekigenda maaso. And so PO Box 20, Jinja, Busoga College Mwiri, the School of Kings. So that's how I ended up in the school that shaped me. And I enjoyed my 4 years there. And I think it is one of the best things I can look back and say, 1998, 1999, 90, 91 were the greatest years. So, you got me. Wow, this is a tough one. This is a good story. But anyway, there's a homecoming this weekend, and I'm wishing all the OBs, Busoga College, I'm always proud. I'm very, very proud of being a Mwirian. Mr. Mwiri, the greatest dancer, Nazina. I competed on the national level up to the National Theatre. I came close to going to Malibu Wild Dance, but I didn't pass through the preliminaries, you know what I mean? So it wasn't that. But anyway, that's another story. But everything at that time